Dragon Age Inquisition was rated M for mature by the ESRB and contains blood, intense violence, nudity, sexual content, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, my name is Amaronith and I play games for the internet, and today we're playing Dragon Age Inquisition. Since last time, I've added a mod to my game. It is the No Wait mod. I don't remember who created it, but I will provide a link to it in the description box down below. So, protect Clan Llewellyn and Wycombe. Commander Cullen, our troops fortified the city of Wycombe and flew the Inquisition banner. It's good that we did so, as the Marchers had soldiers ready to invade the city and kill every elf inside. They were not ready to make an enemy of the Inquisition, however, and when they saw our soldiers, they pulled up short. The Inquisition diplomat, Lady Guinevere Volant, handled negotiations quite well. When presented with evidence of red lyrium, which we made clear was an unholy tool of Corypheus himself, the Marchers backed down from their claims of a baseless elven rebellion and pledged to leave Wycombe in peace. They have also donated generously to the Inquisition's coffers to make clear their support for our cause. The Inquisitor's keeper, Istbithoriel, has been installed along with a city elf and several human merchants on the new Wycombe City Council, which will rule the city fairly for both humans and elves alike. Oh! Lieutenant Rosaline Chamberter. So we get gold influence and a Royal 16, which is a mount. Contact the hero of Ferelden. Sister Leliana. The hero of Ferelden answered our messages. She left a letter for the Inquisitor and another to be delivered privately. She also sent goods from her travels that might be of use. We have included them in this missive. Yours in service, Sister Virginie. Oh, yay! And locate heretic sister. Inquisitor, we located the poor mad soul claiming that Corypheus is the true herald of Andraste. She is no predatory agent, but a woman driven out of her wits by what she had witnessed at Haven. Several refugees were with her. All had been brought to Skyhold, where they now see the folly of this Chantry sister's claims. They are eager to lend the Inquisition their support. Mother Giselle is grateful that we were able to bring the young sister back safely. She remembers the young Chantry sister, and describes her as gifted but fragile. She hopes that with care and patience, the woman may return to herself. Ambassador Montillier. We get influence in the bosun's blade. Now, want to say something cool? Stop the rumors. Now, I made a list of everything, so I don't have to take a million years that you don't see because I edited it out, researching everything. So, stop the rumors. Okay. Oh, look at that. Required time, 0. For literally everything. 120 hours into the game, and now is when I think to do this. Stop the rumors. From far off Montsamard, a songstress comes with lies and thoughtless jibes, insults our name. I hated her at school. She pulled my hair. We must not let her make these vulgar claims. Meriden. If we use Josephine, our allies' words will turn the tide for us. Leliana, a minstrel with no tongue, can tell no lies. And Cullen, no, this is ridiculous. So we're using Josephine. Look at that! The liar's song is all too quick forgot, and at a word her patrons turn aside. Meriden. We get influence and greatest hits. And so let's cross that out. Tick. Okay. What else? What else is here? Annexing Kirkwall. worst of the Mage Rebellion is now past. However, the mage who started it all, who destroyed the Chantry in Kirkwall, and murdered Grand Cleric Elthina, and dozens of the innocent faithful, is still at large. The fanatic Anders must be brought to justice. Though he may no longer be in the city, it is still home to many of his known associates. I thus resolved to invade Kirkwall to locate Anders, but Starkhaven's annexation of this notoriously troubled city has not proceeded as plans. The city's resistance opposes me. They forget that I do this for the good of the city and for all the free marches. As a staunch ally of the Inquisition, I entreat support for this endeavor, that Kirkwall may be brought under control before more innocents are harmed. Sebastian Vale. I'm going to be using Cullen, but just going through everyone. Josephine, I fear the diplomatic ramifications of having our soldiers seen as part of a conquering army. Let us tell the prince that the Inquisition has no one to spare. After the destruction of Haven, who would blame us? Liliana, we have a chance to end this to our advantage. Aveline will back down in the face of our overwhelming force. If we bolster Sebastian with Inquisition agents as his advisors, we can keep him from doing more damage. And Cullen, the prince means to retaliate against anyone who ever harbored Anders. Kirkwall's resistance is headed by Guard Captain Aveline. With our help, she can break Sebastian's resolve and send him running back to Starkhaven. With our help, Guard Captain Aveline took care of Sebastian's forces. Liliana's spies say he has grown deeply impatient and is making plans to retreat. Cullen, and we get the 9th second. So this, gather herbs. Judgment. The death of good Sir Ruth. The disgraced warden, Sir Ruth, wishes to make good on your judgment, Inquisitor. She has asked for assistance in reaching one of the deeper recesses of the Deep Roads, so that her premature calling might serve a greater good. Laudable, but any expedition to the Deep Roads comes with considerable risk. Josephine, I suggest an invitation over an escort. Our dwarven contacts would welcome the chance to bolster their forces with a warden on her calling. Liliana, an escort is simple. I could also arrange to note her exact path, should you wish to recover her body for any perceived honors. And Cullen, many of our soldiers lost family to the Blight. I've no doubt many would volunteer to escort the warden. My concern is that they would not stop at escorting. And we're going to use Liliana. With our aid, Warden Ruth was able to locate a particularly deep enclave of darkspawn, and she did enough damage to disperse it. They tell me her body was found next to the corpse of a brood mother, although no one had seen one prior. Sir Ruth's body was recovered and burned in accordance with Ferelden tradition, and the ashes sent to the Chantry to be interred. All will know of her sacrifice, Liliana. Okay. Alright. Tick. Tick. And I think that's everything in Ferelden that's not resources. Yeah. Okay. All that glitters. And we can only use Cullen for this. Inquisitor, we've received reports of an abandoned gold mine in the hills of the south of the Griffinwing Keep. According to the locals, the mine's still capable of producing. It was abandoned only because of the threat of darkspawn attack made the operation unfeasible. Should we dispatch soldiers to secure the place, any guard wagons that make their way to the keep, should add considerably to our income for the future. And yeah, I can send soldiers to set up camp at the mine straight away. There was a bit of a fight at the mine, with bandits, apparently, not even darkspawn. I'm pleased to report that the darkspawn were cut down with relative ease. We've set up an outpost and recruited locals to begin mining gold once again. Indeed, I'm told they're more than happy to do so now that they're being protected. We found some useful equipment in the abandoned cache, and any efforts to gather gold at Skyhold will now be much easier. We also received a greatsword. Investigate the ancient library. We're using Josephine for this one. Investigate ancient laboratory. Laboratory, that's the word. Nightingale, the last Venatori have left the ancient laboratory in the wake of the Inquisitor's attack. We can be sure that secrets have been left behind. Those of the Venatori, the ancient Devinters, or both. We should not allow the desert to bury them. Fisher. Josephine says there are Chantry scholars eager to see these ruins. We could salvage artifacts and earn their gratitude all at once. In Leliana, we have agents capable of disarming whatever traps and tricks remain and bring back valuables. But we're going to use Josephine. Ambassador, please convey my thanks to the Inquisition for their assistance. The Chantry expedition into the laboratory was a complete success. However, to say we were appalled by most of our findings would be an understatement. We shall send you the full documentation of our discoveries when it is complete. In the meantime, we uncovered a few artifacts of note that may still be serviceable. Make his blessing upon you, Sister Rosalie. Destroy Adamant Fortress. Here. Deal with the angry Vargusts. Commander, the situation is improving here at Griffinwing. Water sources secured and most things under control. However, our activities in the desert have destroyed some Vargust nests, which has riled them up and desperate. Now they are attacking caravans on the main road, scavenging from our provisions. Makes it hard to get supplies in for the soldiers. Any advice? Captain Ryland. Liliana, the Vargas situation is partly our fault. We took their water, their habitat. Our veteran rangers could try to lead the Vargists to a better place when they can establish themselves. This ends up with a bunch of our people getting killed, so we're using Cullen. Maker's breath. I'll send some of our rangers to hunt and kill these pests. That'll keep the area clear. It's done. The roads are safe. Haven't seen a Vargust in some time. Griffinwing will keep growing. Get Sigil of the Nug. Destroy Adamant Fortress. Inquisitor, per my earlier recommendation, I'd like permission to send some of the chargers to Adamant Fortress. The Inquisition already destroyed most of it. My troops can tear down enough of the rest that it doesn't turn into a stronghold for demons or Venatori or whatever else is out here causing us trouble. Lieutenant Cremisius Aclassi. We could use Josephine, who says many Orlesian nobles would love the reputation of having aided in the destruction of Adamant Fortress. Or Cullen. It took all our forces to break Adamant. I'd happily spare some men to ensure the safety of the chargers. Chargers were able to tear down what was left of Adamant Fortress. The demons could have been a problem, but the support forces Commander Cullen dispatched kept them off our backs quite nicely. With the extra time the Inquisition forces gave us, we were able to salvage a few interesting items from the wreckage of Adamant, including an old map of the surrounding area with Grey Warden supply caches marked. Hopefully it comes in handy. Lieutenant Cremisius Aclassi. So, now... where is it? Claim Grey Warden cache. Inquisitor, per information gleaned from the wreckage of Adamant Fortress, the Inquisition has learned of the cache of Warden supplies hidden not far away. They placed such supplies in to aid those fighting in large numbers of Darkspawn without reinforcement. The Inquisition could make good use of them. So... we could use Cullen, who says the area is dangerous, we'll need heavily armed force to reach the supply cache, or Liliana. A small team could be in and out of the area with no one the wiser. We're using Liliana.
Inquisitor.
The Grey Warden supply cache gave us some excellent equipment useful to any military force. It also included several rare designs not seen for hundreds of years. They should serve us well in the fights to come, Commander Cullen. Except, see how it says rewards received, and we got nothing? That is because we already have the schematic that was going to be given to us. Oh well. Investigate Valgamon. Gamord. Why don't I have this on my list? Okay. Alright. Investigate Valgamord. Commander Cullen, smoke is rising from the town of Velgamord. No word has come from the town, and the scouts sent to the area have not returned. I would like permission to investigate in force. Lieutenant Suzanne Clochesec, I think. Liliana says our only option is to send more scouts to find out what happened. Or we'll go, but we're going to go with Cullen. It's worth investigating, and if the first scouts died, it's worth investigating in force.
Inquisitor.
Which, Commander Cullen, Velgamord has been destroyed by Darkspawn. They attacked us as we approached, but with our numbers, we were able to fight our way free and retreat to safety. The town is definitely lost. The Darkspawn have torn down most of the buildings, and it will take a significant force to stop them from spreading further, possibly a larger force than the Inquisition can field alone. Lieutenant Suzanne Clochesec. And drive Darkspawn from Velgamord. Commander Cullen, the Darkspawn at Velgamord came from the mountains. I am shocked that such a sizable host reached the surface without alerting the Orlesian military. Perhaps the Civil War distracted Orlais in the same way that the Calling distracted the Wardens. Regardless of the cause, the Darkspawn are here and in massive numbers. I have begun preparing the troops. Lieutenant Suzanne. We could use Cullen, who says we have little choice in the matter. The Darkspawn will spread unless we strike now. Or Josephine. Such a force is beyond the Inquisition's strength. We must draw on our Orlesian allies and attack the Darkspawn with a united force.
Let us begin.
Commander Cullen, the Orlesian nobles Ambassador Montilier convinced to assist us provided a number of foot soldiers and not a few chevaliers as well. With their assistance, we were able to drive the Darkspawn back from Velgamord and into the mountains, where we cut down any creature still above ground. The tunnels from which the Darkspawn emerged appear to be recent. Someone in Velgamord was digging, though it's unclear why. I am pleased to report that several of the nobles were so impressed by the Inquisition's courage that they pledged their own soldiers to our cause. Lieutenant Suzanne. And we got a masterwork etched two-handed grape, in addition to some influence, plus search mines and Gamordan peaks. Where is it? I want to get this taken care of before... There it is. Before I forget everything. Commander Cullen, the Darkspawn have withdrawn completely into the mines from which they originally came. As I said in my previous letter, the mines show signs of recent maintenance. Someone was searching for something. It may be worth investigating the mines, but I am concerned about our ability to navigate the tunnels without alerting the Darkspawn. I await your orders, Lieutenant Suzanne. Now, Josephine's not participating, and Cullen says fighting in tunnels is ugly work, but this is the cleanest way to investigate them. And Liliana says, my contacts in the Carta can get in and out of those mines without alerting the Darkspawn.
Let's see what we have.
Nightingale, we were lucky. Most of the Darkspawn had withdrawn by the time my team ventured into the mines, and these surface runts are nowhere near as tough as what I used to fight back in Orzammar. We avoided most of them and killed the ones we had to. In the process, we found what the human miners must have been looking for. Sent it your way. Hope it was worth the effort. Never thought I'd be ready to see the sky over my head instead of honest stone, but I'd forgotten how much Darkspawn stink. Thank you for helping me remember. Digger. We got a battle mage staff, so that's all tended to. Okay. Learn more about dragons. Okay. Learn more about dragons. Okay. The dragon that Corypheus controls looks like an archdemon, but is something else entirely. To defeat his threat, the Inquisition must know all it can about dragons. Frederic of Serrault, the self-styled researcher of dragons, may be of some help. However, no one knows when Corypheus may attack next. Frederic and the Inquisition should focus on one area of research first. There's Josephine. No one knows more about the beasts than the Pentagast family of Navarra. With Cassandra's help, I could secure permission for Frederick to peruse their archives for information about dragons past and present. Liliana, one can learn quite a bit by dissection, and many minds are better than one. My agents can search all of Thedas for naturalists like Frederick to join him in poring over dragon carcasses to their heart's content. Or Cullen. Didn't you recently discover a dragon nesting ground? Frederick might be able to learn something from it. Get him to lead a research expedition. I can supply an entourage of soldiers to protect them.
Inquisitor.
Excerpt from Frederick of Serolt's report. We found a clutch of intact dragon eggs. Haha. We found a clutch of intact dragon eggs, which are currently incubating in Skyhold. What? For study purposes only, of course. How dangerous can baby dragons be? We found little else. From eyewitness reports, the adult dragons never ventured close to where the red lyrium grows, even though they could have easily done so. I can only conclude that the creatures instinctively understand red lyrium poses a threat. Get a prismatic great axe. Cool. Judgment. Recover sold artifacts. Service, the Venatori, who offered to help the Inquisition after his capture, has provided a tip on the whereabouts of some old magical artifacts he shipped out of the western approach. He claims he requires a small squadron of helpers and a decent amount of coin to recover them for the Inquisition. Josephine says he seems too prideful to cheat us without proving his worth first. I'd give him what he asks, within reason. Cullen says I can send my soldiers to help this mage. I'll keep a close eye on him. And Liliana. Yeah, Liliana is who we're using for this. She says we cannot fully trust this man, and he knows it. I'll give him his helpers and send an unseen spy along.
Let's see what we have.
Inquisitor, Service delivered the artifacts as promised. The spy we sent to watch him caught him taking a trinket. An expensive bauble, really, for his personal collection. Service returned it without hesitation, claiming he wished to see if we were intelligent enough to watch a newly defected agent. Then he gave us the location of a cache of jewels and coin the Venatori had hidden just outside the approach. I suspect he was hoping he'd be caught. The mage enjoys being slippery. A man like that is not so hard to nudge in the direction we require Liliana, and we got a belt of focus. The name of our enemy. Okay. According to Dorian, it might be possible to discover who Corypheus once was. Knowing he was human could make him less attractive to Tevinter's zealots who think of him as a god. Acquiring this information, however, is more difficult than one might suppose. Such ancient information could be found in the Magisterium's library in Minrathous, but the Grand Archivist has so far replied to our messages with polite misdirection. Dorian says he is the king of this particular castle and knows it. He might be blocking our efforts out of allegiance to Corypheus, or simply because he can. Liliana says, go around him. I can send an agent to infiltrate the archive and find what we need. Cullen says men like this respond to one thing, threats. He knows who you are and doesn't want to be your enemy. Or Josephine. Which is what we're going to go with. Who says, bribe the man with gifts and favors. This is normal for Tevinter and what he expects. The copy of the Liberalum tome that Dorian sought arrived at Skyhold along with a number of items ranging from rare manuscripts to grimoires for magistas long dead. They came with a letter from the Grand Archivist apologizing profusely and stating his hope that his gifts will be of benefit to the Inquisition. It may take some time for Dorian to go through the tome, but he seems optimistic that something will prove within use. Received wave blades. And House Amladaris. Dorian has completed his research using the Liberalum and believes he found a connection between Corypheus and an ancient magister named Sethius of House Amladaris. This will be difficult to prove and may be of limited use, but it's worth noting that House Amladraris still exists. Even the accusation that Corypheus and Sethius are the same person would be worthy of a scandal in Tevinter, one that the current members of that family might be desperate to avoid. Josephine says, blackmail them. They would undoubtedly do the same to us if our positions were reversed. Cullen says every Tevinter house has enemies. Sell the information to one of them. Or Liliana. Send them the information as a gesture of goodwill. Let's see what they do with it.
Let's see what we have.
A quiet message arrived from House Amladaris today. Considering the speed of the response, it seems hard to believe the family had no knowledge of what Dorian found in the book. I wonder how long they've sat upon the secret, wondering if it might one someday come to light. Liliana. The quiet message. My dear Inquisitor, we are most appreciative of the information you provided. How scandalous to think there might be any connection between our house and those fiends of legend. It's not true, of course, and to reassure you on that point, I intend to dedicate my family toward helping the Inquisition in its righteous struggle. Yours in faith, Magister Irian? Magister Irian of House Amladaris. We got a Master Spirit rune. Hell yeah. So, with that done, the Tevinter Resistance. I received some news from Avaris. It seems her little resistance has drawn support, just as she hoped it would. The thing is, that support comes in the form of idealistic magisters with no real power, while the ones who might see her group as a threat are the true heavy hitters. Reading between the lines, I'd say Mavaris is in more hot water than she lets on. She's crafty, but she could use more help right about now, or the resistance might die on the vine. Up to you, but if you ask me, any enemies of the Venatori should be friends of ours. Dorian. Josephine says, the Inquisition is no force to be reckoned with, even in Tevinter. Openly declare our support for the resistance. Liliana, allow me to handle this. Eliminate one of her enemies, and the rest will believe she can strike at them with impunity. They will back off. And Cullen, send some of Templars north. Disguised, of course. Real Templars, the sort who can disrupt magic. And that should be all the help she needs. We're gonna use Cullen.
To work?
Seems Dorian was correct. Not only do Tevinter Templars not possess the ability to disrupt magic, Tevinter Magisters are flummoxed when they encounter such abilities. There was an attack on Magister's Talani's estate, but our agent, Sir Belinda Darrow, reports that it was handily beaten back and is unlikely to return anytime soon. Magister Talani sends her thanks, as well as some artifacts stripped from the attackers, and a scented handkerchief. Don't ask. Cullen. Enhanced chain lightning ring. Nice. Okay. Red Jenny and the Bad Goods. Sarah cannot simply vandalize our reports. There is no record of any of this. A memo from Josephine written on a letter from an outlying landholder. Inquisition leaders. I have reports of a gathering of resources to be moved into Venatori hands. I send this with the hope that you have the means to track who may be responsible. I overheard the possibility, but further inquiry yielded no more detail. It is unfolding well above my station. Sir Geston of Wildavale. Sarah has scrawled several notes below, also a sketch of a randy nugherder. Squire with limp says horses for 20, small force. 3 farmers say they were kicked out of homes. Root? Merchant says the carts are heavy for carrying armor weapons. Says they shortchanged him, so didn't tell him about wobbly wheel. We'll slow them through pass. Easy pickings, right? Liliana says, a few altered signs will waylay them in the Vimarks. A trade caravan will have supplies to last. If their stock happens to be mostly weapons, they won't last long. Cullen, blockading a caravan is a small but provocative matter. Do we trust this information? But we're going to use Josephine. Buying out the caravan would expose whether it is led by an honest merchant or a conspirator against us. Or conspirator. I guess that's both. The caravan spotted by Sarah's friends was abandoned after our offer to buy it. There is no documentation to show who arranged it. It appears our scrutiny was enough to scare them off. Amulet of Power. Nice. trouble of red jennies. I will never understand how they function with the same name. Memo from Liliana, written on a letter from Sarah. Sometimes we trade off baddies. Some knob learns your tricks, message another red jenny, and now you're twice as hard to catch. Looks like magic, except no demons. And no magic, I suppose. Anyway, the caravan we took over, there's 2 leads from that. From 2 other jennies. Good ones, too. Sarah. Simple sketches of the other red jennies, and their locations are scribbled below. Their mustaches seem improbable. Navarra, Joey, Tantavale, Charade. Oh, Charade! Remember Charade? She's Hawk's cousin. Okay, we're gonna go with Josephine on this. Supplied from Navarra, I can leverage the Pentagast name and manipulate to a good degree, but perhaps we needn't mention it to Cassandra. How fascinating to receive help through seemingly random means. So it seems we have made a friend of a red jenny in Navarra. And let's go, not that. Red Jenny and the Imposters. Are these people a nuisance or a rebellion? Note from Josephine, written on a letter from the Red Jenny in Navarra. Inquisition. A serving girl with a bruise told me your name and is also being abused. Whoever owns a caravan you took is retaliating by dressing thugs in fake Inquisition uniforms. These valiant knights offer protection from the heretics. For a fee, of course. Employer is mystery, notifying you in case you want to get involved. And so you aren't alarmed when some of your soldiers start showing up dead. They've deserved it. They've earned it. Red Jenny. The location of several camps follow. Sarah has scrawled a note, also a bow made of swords. Joni's a hard one. Serious business. Cullen says, and we're going to use Cullen, who says, we cannot suffer this misrepresentation. Our response must be swift and send a very clear message. Though if we used Josephine, she says, we should involve the local lords in this masquerade. They'll be just as displeased about their influence being misused. And Liliana says, this Joey seems prepared to deal with it. Let him. But I'm going to use Cullen.
All right.
The knights masquerading as Inquisition soldiers were dealt with. Signs of larger group were present. This Joey is investigating. And finally, judgment. Movrin's arrived. It's only been a million years. We have received word that Movrin the Under has made good on your judgment of armed exile into Winter. He and his clan immediately staked claim to a large section of land along the Imperial Highway at the edge of the Silent Plains. It is inhospitable and vacant, and they claim they are not interested in banditry or actively threatening anyone. Beyond, of course, suddenly declaring that they now live within Imperium borders. Artivinter contacts say the relocation has caused significant concerns among the Magisters. Josephine says, it is difficult to present this as a positive, but perhaps we could notify Minrathus and that we hope they enjoy our reinforcements for their continued war against the Canary. Cullen says, a fine jest, and now it is done. I suggest cutting ties before their presence is considered provocation. Or Liliana, who we're going to go with, says, if you simply want them present to unnerve Tevinter, it is possible to keep Movrin's clan supplied without explicit ties to us.
Inquisitor.
With supplies assured, Movrin and his clan have set up an extensive settlement and become a welcome stop at the edge of the Silent Plains. There is no reported theft, as they have no need, but there is legendary brawling, as they cannot stop. Tevinter is concerned, but for now they seem to be tolerating Movrin's presence, or at least they are able to ignore it. Liliana. We get 100 influence and the Dancer's Axe. Okay. Whoop. College of Magi. A situation is unfolding in the Navarran city of Cumberland. location of the College of Magi, which, until the outbreak of the Mage Rebellion, was a philosophical heart of the Circle of Magi. Now mostly abandoned, it has become home to a number of mage refugees. This has drawn the ire of local citizens, and mobs are threatening to assault the college and burn it to the ground, with Duke Sandril and Axis doing nothing to stop them. Inquisition agents suspect that Venatori agents are behind the mobs, looking to recover artifacts from the college once its magical defenses are breached. Josephine says, use diplomacy with Duke Sandril. He must be convinced to intercede. Cullen says, send in a force to occupy the college. We can protect the innocents and recover anything useful. Liliana says, we should send in agents to evacuate the college. They can be brought to Skyhold along with their artifacts. Whoops. Hit the wrong button.
Let's see what we have.
My agents were successful. Our dwarven warrior Corbin led a foray into the College of Magi and emerged with both the mage refugees and whatever artifacts could be transported, all before the Navaran mobs finally stormed the gates. If the Venatori were behind this, they have been disappointed, and the refugees expressed their relief and their thanks for the rescue. Liliana. Support from Navarra. A letter delivered to Skyhold. First, allow me to compliment the Inquisition's many victories on behalf of the Forsythia family. While Southern Thedas has seen the worst of it, we recognize that the recent tragedies concern us all. Your Inquisitor's work in sealing the rifts and stabilizing the South has lessened troubles here as well. The Forsythia House would lend its support to the Inquisition. We would be happy to meet with your representative and make it official. Tyrion Veneto. On behalf of Her Grace, Duchess Amalia. Missive from Josephine follows the letter. The Forsythias are one of the great noble houses in Navarra, while other noble families are divided between those who support the Pentagast line and those who would see new blood on the throne. The Forsythias have remained politically neutral. I doubt the Forsythias' offers is entirely altruistic. There are advantages to aligning with a powerful, far-reaching institution. Nevertheless, accepting their support gives us allies in Navarra without making it a significant political statement. We could go with Liliana. The Forsythias might be more generous if they knew we had certain information on them. We could go with Cullen, approach from a position of strength, send a personal guard with our representative. Or we're going to go with Josephine, who says, let's keep the visit friendly if you representatives can discuss the form of their support will take. Letter delivered to Skyhold. It was a pleasure meeting with your representatives. We are happy to lend the Inquisition our support. Tyrion Veneto on behalf of Her Grace, Duchess Amalia. We received Toy Soldier. Okay. Unmask those across the sea. I had our people remove the downward-pointing triangular symbols from our outposts. They have not made a reappearance, which means little. It's clear that someone has an interest in the Inquisition, someone organized with ties to those across the sea. We've eliminated the Canari as the most obvious suspects. Nonetheless, knowing who they are does not tell us who... Knowing who they are not does not tell us who they are, what they're doing, or why. They're clever, we know that, and they have resources, but so do we, and they should learn that they are not to toy with the Inquisition. Now we could go with Cullen, who says this is pointless. I won't commit our forces to hunting a shadowy cabal obsessed with little chalk drawings. I say we forget this and focus on Corypheus. Or Liliana. If our investigations have any hope of succeeding, we'll have to strike hard and fast before they even know we're looking. A coordinated effort hitting all the leads we have at once. We're going to use her. Which says, compliments to your spy master. She is a resourceful woman. Once she traced our agent to Cayman Brea, the match was ruled in her favor. Tell Sister Liliana to call off her dogs, save them for Corypheus. We suspect also that she has gotten all she can from Sir Helmuth. A caterpillar on a leaf does not know there is a forest about him. You will hear no more from us. Our intention was to watch, and we have seen enough. Corypheus threatens us all, and the Inquisition is Thedas' only hope for stopping him. Remember that, for the moment, we are not your enemy. As a gesture of goodwill, we share our knowledge. May it prove valuable in your coming battle. On behalf of the powers across the sea, the Executors. Everyone knows they're not real. Varric, you fuck! Anyway, God, Cool. Rainier's Reese, at least an alternative. Liliana informs me that your contacts in the underworld could aid in having Rainier released from prison. This route would conveniently mask the Inquisition's involvement. An offer whispered in the right circles, a dozen factions vying for our favor. We'll see who desires it most. Yes.
Let's see what we have.
Rainier was brought to Skyhold Gates under cover of darkness. Best not ask how, Liliana. Cool. Okay. Where are we? Press or Legion Nobles. Inquisitor, thanks to the efforts of the Bull's Chargers, or Legion nobility is most receptive to our efforts. Now would be an ideal time to press them for more support. Ambassador Montilier. Liliana says the right word whispered at the right time is more effective than an afternoon of pleasantries. But we're going to go with Josephine, who says, I know which nobles are willing to help us and how far they can be pushed. The Orlesian nobles were most happy to pledge their loyalty to both the throne and the Inquisition. Their generosity is matched only by their desire to avoid the same unpleasantness that took place at the Winter Palace. Okay. Dance with the Dowager, the Courante. My dear Inquisitor, you dance as beautifully as I remember. Are you ready for the second movement? The Allemande is typically followed by a Courante, in which the steps are much faster, almost running. The Comte de Poisson so enjoyed your last maneuver that he is now racing to petition the Council of Heralds for recognition of his claim to Yelen. I was the first one he contacted, of course, because while the young man is prone to missteps, he is not the complete fool. He is very likely to reach out to Duke Cyril de Montfort or Duke Germain next. Cyril is the youngest and most persuadable of the council, and Germain is the oldest and most likely to support a claim of any old Orlesian nobility over the donation of lands to a new Andrastian cause. You should make your own move. Allegrissimo. Cordially, Marquise Montillon. And Josephine says the Duke of Ghislaine already has connections to us. We could speak to him first. Liliana says Comtesse Montbelliard, the Silver Lady of Chernow, is our best ally here. And Cullen says we should speak with Duke Cyril. By all accounts, he's reasonable. We could win him to our side.
Inquisitor.
To whom it concerns, we, the Council of Heralds, declare the Yelen Basin the holdings of the Inquisition, and all revenues and oaths from these lands should be tendered thus to a titled lord until such time as the Inquisition is dissolved, or the holdings lawfully granted elsewhere. Signed, Marquise Montillon, Cyril de Montfort, Etienne de Chavannes, Lothaire d'Aussy, Solange Montbelliard, Laurent des Ghislaine, Germain des Chalons. Nice. How lovely. And finally, alliances observing the deadlock. It was to be expected. In the wake of so many important deaths and the rise of the Inquisition, several noble houses are attempting to spur their fortunes by crafting an alliance of their own. For now, they seem mired in arguments of seniority. It will be a long time before any of them threaten our standing. Liliana says let them squabble on their own. Poking them at this point is wasted energy. Cullen says, I say invite them to observe our soldiers' training, to show we are not heretical outlaws. And Josephine, I suggest someone be offered as an ambassador of the Herald, not the Inquisition, if only to let them know in a non-threatening way that we are watching. Despite their intent to craft a political entity to oppose us, these noble families are too embroiled in their own conflicts to even acknowledge us. We have acquired some additional trading partners who are tired of waiting for a winner to emerge. Okay. I didn't do this one. Alliances. There are okay, so the alliances thing, there are 7 possible war table things and we can only complete 4. So, one second. Okay. We're going to go with first things first. Alliances, getting things moving. Many of the nobility on the Elysian capital have settled their secondary differences and are rallying behind 2 families. The de Rosiers are old money but well expected, but viewed as traditional and stubborn. The Tybalts rose with a popular merchant consortium and are considered new money and progressive. While the intent of both families was to rival us politically, if we declare for one of them, we may manipulate events in our favor. Lord Pierre de Rosier has not asked for our allegiance, but may respect our rising might. Lady Velise Tybalt speaks for her investors and is interested in forward-thinking alliances. Cullen says we certainly have the forces. That is a simple demonstration to make the de Rosiers, and but we're going to go with Josephine. I can draw a number of agreements that tie us to little beyond ceremony. That will gain initial interest of the Tybalts. I will not turn my back on them, but we have established agreements with the Tybalts. Their initial hatred of the Inquisition was a device, and they are willing to have us in their favor. And that has unlocked forging a way forward. This doesn't matter who we pick. Lady Tybalt is asking for closer ties and access to trading partners as she tries to circumvent the traditional blockages of the allegiances in the capital. Some houses have switched sides, others cede holdings entirely to avoid the shame of officially losing all standing. More and more they are concerned with station and alliance over whatever objections they stated about the Inquisition. Josephine says, we gained her trust with alliances. If we are willing to continue the relationship, it's only fitting that we strengthen those ties. Liliana says, support her indirectly so that she knows of our support, but the others do not consider us so directly tied. Cullen says, I can arrange assurances of forces if allies are attacked, a standard escalation of interests. I'm gonna go with Josephine.
Inquisitor.
Who says, the Tybalt family is becoming a clear favorite in the war of station that is ongoing between the noble houses. The Bordelons have all but ceased to exist socially, and many are scrabbling for traditional alliances. Lady Eustace Richelieu has emerged as a strong voice at court and is suggesting several arranged marriages to solidify ties, and presumably is standing of her house as arbiter and matchmaker. Reaching ever upward. There is a contender to rival the alliance with the Tybalts. Lady Richelieu sent the following letter. The de Rosiers are a stubborn threat. The most efficient way to deal with them is to nullify with social alliance. But the only pairing of import is unavailable because the Tybalt daughter has betrothed herself elsewhere. She has the luxury of such a wasteful pairing because of the Inquisition bearing in the weight in this partnership. Our hands are tied. You face the difficult task of attacking the status of Lord de Rosier. unless you were to demand that the task of the Tybalts. If their investment were more taxing, they would be more inclined to a ranged match for the daughter, and that is well-respected currency in Orlais. In your service, Lady Eustace Richelieu. Josephine says, I cannot claim it will be popular, but it would hardly be unusual for an allied partner to ask for such a concession. Such is the way of nobility. But we're going with Liliana. And Lord de Reserre's good name. His way is honorable conflict. With careful words, he will be powerless before he steps in court. We received from Lady Eustace Richelieu, who presumes more and more to speak for the Tybalts. She is also quick to use us and we. Liliana. Lady Richelieu's letter follows. Bold move, Inquisitor. Lord de Reserre was mortified, if not mortally so. It is said he cannot bear to show his face, and face is all many of his generation value. I do hope he will do nothing drastic. I also hope that the names behind us remain willing to commit what is necessary to solidify the lines that have been established. We shall see. Yours in gracious service, Lady Eustace Richelieu. With angered eyes. We've got an amulet of power, that's for Vivienne. Okay. With angered eyes, it has come to violence. Lord de Reserre has directly challenged the holdings of our ally Lady Tybalt. He claims their ties to the Inquisition are to blame for his loss of honor, which are technically true. His militia is poised to threaten several trade outposts, though his will to attack may not be absolute. Lady Richelieu offers a barrage of names to clarify. Despite being ostracized, Lord de Reserre retains many allies. While you can certainly hold him at bay, perhaps we should revisit another course. Uniting his house and that of your ally Tybalt might appease both and profit all involved. The daughter, Celeste Tybalt, is still betrothed to a Leandre. But this is a war of sorts. In such time, is not personal sacrifice preferable to bloodshed? It is, in fact, the only wise outcome. And I have already begun preparations. Are we understood? An expectation, Lady Eustace Richelieu. Josephine says, I expect that while it will not please all involved, asking for a marriage to end this would be quickly agreed to by all parties. It is a language they all understand, Inquisitor. They have no teeth for fighting. Liliana says, should we commit lives to this mess? If we withdraw, our original goal is achieved. They are fractured. None of this group is a threat. And Cullen, we have the manpower to thwart de Reserre. We choose a course, we can see it through. I'm gonna use Cullen. Lord de Reserre blockaded a number of trade routes, but his intent was only to posture. We faced token resistance to remake them. Expensive, but fortunately not in lives. Lady Richelieu is not impressed, as it was not the optimal outcome for her status calculations. Cullen. Lady Richelieu's letter follows. An adequate outcome, Inquisitor. A powerful name has been marginalized instead of put to use. The minor alliances formed in the wake are a modest achievement, but it will have to do. I have arranged the pairing of the lesser names left standing, that of Celeste Tybalt and Jessin Leandre. They are thrilled because they are young, but as matchmaking goes, it is hardly inspiring. Functionally yours, Lady Eustace Richelieu. Also a letter arrived from the Tybalts. My unending gratitude, Lord Inquisitor. I feared for the actions of my daughter if this matter had turned out differently. She is not yet fully understanding of the necessities of status. We are in your debt. Lady Valise Tybalt. And... that is complete. Wonderful. Hey. Inquisitor's Throne Accessory 1. Oh, nice!
Let us begin.
This is fun.
Let's see what we have.
Inquisitor.
Maybe Liliana or Josephine get us a second one. Okay. Sorry. I'm done. I'll play around later. But that did what I wanted. Oh my god, we spent we spent an entire episode at the war table. Wonderful. So this is not just entirely war table stuff. Once this is all done, is my... Where's my chair? Thank you. Aren't these pretty? Sorry, I'm waiting for the pop-ups to finish, because if I don't, they're just... Okay. There we go.
For judgment this day, Inquisitor, I must present Captain Thom Rainier, formerly known to us as Warden Blackwall. His crimes... well, you are aware of his crimes. The decision of what to do with him is yours.
I hate to see you like this.
I didn't think this would be easy, but it's harder than I thought.
Another thing to regret. Using your ties to the underworld to free me. You're a criminal, same as me.
And?
The world will learn how you've used your influence. They'll know the Inquisition is corrupt.
This will be forgotten.
Once the world is back to normal, no one will even remember this.
I'll remember. I accepted my punishment. I was ready for all this to end. Why would you stop it? What becomes of me now?
You're free, if you atone.
You have your freedom.
It cannot be as simple as that.
It isn't. You're free to atone as the man you are, not the traitor you thought you were, or the warden you pretended to be.
The man I am. I barely know him. But I have a lot to make up for. If my future is mine, then I pledge it to the Inquisition. My sword is yours. If I'd said anything less, would an arrow from the rookery have snuffed me like a candle?
Take your post, Thom Rainier.
If you romanced him, you, like, smooch on the, like, he, like, comes up to you and, like, you have this whole romantic moment. It's really great. Consequences of Blackwall's lie. Ooh. I mean, I guess before we end. Whoops. Just knocking everything around, aren't I? Okay. Since this is the war table, Okay. The consequences of Blackwall's lie. A letter written in fine hand and lightly scented, signed by Josephine. The issue of Thom Rainier has been settled, but his deception has far-reaching consequences. Had we not used the Grey Warden treaties, we might not have found ourselves in so awkward a position. As it is, I receive daily messages from all quarters demanding we make reparations. We must do something. Scribbled beneath, signed by Cullens. I'm sorry, did we embarrass a Dutchan at a soiree by stepping on her gown? Or was the sky torn open and Havens beset by an ancient Darkspawn Magister? We needed the gold, we needed the men. You would have persuaded someone to part with them, with or without the treaties. We are not making reparations for doing what we had to do. No one else could have done what no one else could have done. Don't forget the Wardens were exiled from southern Thetis by the power of the Inquisition. We seized their holdings. Anything owed them is now owed us. Josephine says, do we want the Inquisition to survive beyond Corypheus' defeat? We won't always be at war. Why alienate allies when it would take so little to appease them? Let us return what was taken under false pretense and put these treaties aside. Or we step forward, not back. No apologies. What happened with the Wardens gives us more authority than ever to use the treaties. Even if we don't continue after Corypheus, I'd rather not have bitter enemies.
At your service.
We have sent emissaries with formal apologies. We returned all that we could be returned. We paid in kind for what we could not. Liliana will store the Grey Warden treaties in the Skyhold archives, in remembrance of mistakes made and lessons learned. Josephine. The Inquisition will have to provide any support for Cassandra as the Chantry's choice for the next Divine. Quietly. Traditionally, the Chantry looks upon open declarations with derision, so they can be counterproductive, but a few words in the right ears can be very effective. Note, once the Inquisition gives its support, it cannot also support anyone else. I don't want to support Cassandra as the next Divine. Like, I like the idea, but I don't want to. Because I'm aiming for something else. In the meantime, I want to talk to no one. In the meantime, it's about that time. This was a long episode, but we got a lot done. I'm now ready to move on with the plot. No, that's a lie. I'm ready to move on with the descent. But that's next time. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.